Time flies. So, we begin tonight at the house of Morgan McCrashley. It is mid-afternoon, and you've been going about your day as normal. Don't know. Are you working a case at the moment, Morgan?
No, not for the moment. I'm not working on a case. I'm still looking for some traces about what I've heard in town, like somebody's missing, some American who's missing. I'm looking for cases like some smugglers in town, but I'm not on a particular case, no.
Okay. And your house, your office, what sort of impression are we getting here? Is this nice, tidy and organized, or chaotic mess, or somewhere in between?
Somewhere in between, I will say. I've got a person who's come cleaning my office twice a week, so it's clean, but there are books a little everywhere. Some papers, I've got a board with all different leads that I could have. Yeah.
Is there
messy,
red
but not
string?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, it's mid-afternoon when you get a knock at your door downstairs. And do you have staff to answer the door, or is this a do-it-yourself situation?
No, I do it myself. I don't need staff. I don't want staff involved anymore.
And as you go...
Yeah, go on.
As you go to open the door, you see standing on your front doorstep none other than Franco Berenice, who, well, what does Franco see, and what would Morgan see? What do the two of you look like?
Well, Franco is like a lean and lanky type of guy. You see that he's had harsher times in his short life. He's young, very, very young. 19 about something, right? From his teens. And he's, wearing his very, very cheap but presentable clothes. Stuff that's basically designed to present better than it is. And you'll probably have already known or seen him on occasion in the mailman if his boss had you over, but otherwise, yeah.
So you will see somebody who's at first you're going to see my face, and I'm going to present you my right face, and I'm going to welcome you in and say, welcome, come in. But when I'm turning my right side, and you see that I'm a little, not blind, but you see my face is completely disfigured. It was completely torn apart, and it has been patched, but wrongly. It's like they couldn't do much about it. And you see that the scar goes until to my neck. Come in, here. Welcome. Do you want something to drink?
No, I'm good. Franco will, focus that horrifying scar for a moment, and then just swish it away out of his mind, and go. So there's this person that that's a long story. Let's just there's this person that is. I think I'm best starting chronologically. I was on a case, right? For the mail-in. And there was this murder down in where was the case, the murder?
Kensington.
Down in Kensington, right. And I was, investigating, snooping around there. And that got me to a place called the London Esoteric Society, and they in turn caught me snooping around in the building that I wasn't supposed to be in, but didn't put me up to the police, and more like recruited me to help them solve a case that doesn't make logical sense because there's some spooky stuff involved. And now they need an additional PI, somebody that's actually good at snooping in places, not like me, who's just, hiding. So do you have time?
So wait. If I get it right, there is a murder.
Yeah.
You tried to snoop around. You got catched by someone called the London Esoteric Society.
Yeah.
And now you are requesting my help to help you with this case.
Yeah. The London Esoteric Society are trying to solve the case as well, because they've been ordered by the Scotland Yard boy, but they are missing personnel that has the skills that you do, which is why I'm here.
Wait. Just stop. Let me get my coats. Let's go.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, bring him over.
So as Morgan gets his coat, meanwhile, in a different door in a different house, Inspector Barnes is knocking on the door of a Mr. Higgins, a respectable London gentleman. Does Mr. Higgins answer his own door?
He absolutely will. Is this a weekday or a weekend? I suppose back then it doesn't matter.
Oh, it's a Monday.
Monday.
Monday,
then
the 14th of March.
Then on a Monday, I would not be at home. I would be at my place of business. So can he be knocking on that door?
That sounds perfectly acceptable. He's knocking on the door of your officers.
In that case, I would have I suppose back then they were called secretaries. A young woman would open the door and usher the inspector in.
Thank you, Mom.
Yes,
Afternoon.
Can I help you?
Yes, Inspector Barnes, Scotland Yard.
In Scotland Yard? What is this concerning?
It's concerning your friend, Mr. John Bidwell. Have you heard the news?
No. No, I have not. Bidwell, is he well?
Unfortunately, sir, no. He is...
My God, man, spit it out.
Dead, sir.
Oh, my...
Murdered.
How? When? Why? I did not read it in the papers. Why are you here? What? Explain, please.
It didn't quite make this morning's papers. I suspect it will be in the afternoon printing of some of them. He was found this morning by his maid, and can we make sure we have this conversation in private? You might want to sit down, sir.
My apologies. Forgive my manners.
This can
Dora,
be a shock for even the sternest of minds.
Dora, please set some tea for us. Yes, Inspector, here. Have a seat. Bidwell. Bidwell, of all people.
Yes, he was found this morning. Our chief suspect is his butler, Mr.
What?
Yates.
No, that cannot be right. He's a mild, respectable... No, the butler, I placed him there. No, that can't be.
Exactly. That's one of the reasons I wanted to ask you a few questions. You are familiar with Mr. Yates?
Well, of course, he was one of the people I put into a position. I positioned many people here in my agency. Yes, he is a fine man.
Ah, I see. And not the kind of man given to, one say, thrusting a fire poker through his employer's chest.
Heavens, no.
Ah.
No. Yates would not do such a thing.
Well, unfortunately, it does appear that he did. And we are still looking for Mr. Yates. He is missing. You've not seen him today, have you?
By the gods, of course, no. Why would I have... No, Inspector. No, I have not seen Yates for months, and Bidwell, it's been nigh on a year since I've shared his company. I'm sorry, sir, this is quite the blow.
Yes. Mr. Bidwell had a gathering at his house last night. Were you aware about that at all?
Sir, I completely apologize. I've misspoken. Yes, of course, you've taken me at such a shock. I can barely think. It had been close to a year since I saw him, but yes, I was at the seance last night. My head,
it's understandable, these things. And
we had several drinks, I must admit. I'm totally... give me a moment, please. Adora, where's that tea, please?
Here, sir. Sorry, sir. I put extra sugar, sir.
Yes, Inspector, I did see my friend last night.
And did he seem out of character at all, or worried about anything? Did he mention any fears that someone might wish him dead?
He was... One of his many adventures, I barely remember. I arrived at the house after several drinks with my brother, and it wasn't very long. He had an odd gathering of people I didn't know, and I left fairly quickly afterward. It was a seance, and nothing really came of it that I could tell.
Nothing was summoned, or nothing out of the ordinary. Nothing that
summoned.
Or there was no... How shall I put this? Nobody started gushing water out of their mouth or bleeding from their eyeballs. Nobody caught fire spontaneously.
I'm not sure, did they?
No.
I don't remember anything like that. I was there briefly. I had another drink or two, sherry. We sat around the table. I shared pleasantries with the people. I barely remember. It wasn't that I was smashed. It meant nothing to me, and I hadn't seen him, and we didn't have much time to spend together. It was other people there. I left as quickly as I could. That's certainly not my... I don't do seances. It was odd to be invited, and I left as quickly as I could. I'm afraid I have no answers for you.
That's all right, sir. And I would advise you, your decisions to not do seances is a very wise one. They are dangerous events. One never knows how they might end up. But look, could I ask for a little more of your time on this, sir?
By all means, but I am shaken.
As you were there and seem to be familiar with Mr. Bidwell, this might be a little unorthodox, but could I ask you to speak to... I have a consultant working on the case, and if
there's a case, is there? Does that mean that there may be some doubt about what occurred?
Yes, I have some doubt, but it's going to be hard to get to the bottom of this. Could I ask that you meet with this consultant of mine?
Of course, I'm at your disposal.
I must warn you, she is an occultist.
Interesting. What is this person's name, if you don't mind?
Lady Irene von Watts.
I'll be damned. I know of her. My brother-in-law's spoken highly of her several times. I've never met the woman, but interesting.
Your brother-in-law, that would be?
Reggie Bloomington.
I can't say I'm familiar with the man, but...
No, he's not the type to have a run-in with Scotland Yard.
Well, exactly my kind of gentleman, then. My favourite people are the ones I never have to meet. No offence,
So,
sir.
what did you say your name was, Inspector?
Barnes. Howard Barnes.
Inspector Barnes. You mentioned something about fire exploding from people's mouths and water gushing from eyeballs. What? In a seance? I mean,
Only
seance
the
are
bleeding
raves.
eyeballs was a seance. The fire was apparently an unconnected string of accidents.
In a seance? Well, I must say, I will avoid them. I will take your word for it. Yes, I will be happy to meet with Lady Irene, you said? Lady Irene.
Yes. At your convenience. She can be found at number 18 Grosvenor Square.
Yes, number 18. Grosvenor. Yes, Reggie has my brother-in-law again. He's been there. Oh my God. What a morning. Well, I hope you enjoy your tea, Inspector. This is...
Yes.
I will take a few moments here.
And if you see any sign of Yates, would you let us know, please?
Inspector, in my opinion, and I do make it a habit to study people, Yates was as professional and responsible a man as could be hoped for. There was nothing unusual about that man other than his care for his craft.
Well,
He worked hard. He loved his work. He was a church-going man. He was respectful and honest.
yes. Well, unless we can find any evidence in the contrary, he may well hang for this if we cannot find any other explanation.
To shove a fire poker through someone's chest takes quite a bit of strength. I wouldn't think Yates had it in him.
No. I have some leads of my own to follow up, but please, if I could urge you to if you have any remaining affection for your late friend and this Mr. Yates,
Of course.
speak to Lady Irene. Yes.
Bidwell and I, we shared drinks together many nights and regaled me of his adventures. I didn't even give him the time or respect that he deserved last night. It was... I barely even recall what happened.
No, you said you hadn't seen him for some time.
He's been out of country as far as I know.
Yes, it appears that he has not been seen around London for several months over the winter, and there's no record of him having left the country. Do you have any idea where he might have been during that time?
Well, my brother and I have been very busy with business and attempting to recoup some of the clients that we've lost, and I'm afraid I've been out of touch with most of my friends for the past 6 months or more. I don't know where Bidwell could have been. He often leaves country, off on one of his many larks or vacations or holidays, or I just assumed. But no, if he's been in town, he hasn't contacted me for quite some time.
Well, thank you. And thank you for your time, sir.
I only wish I could be of more service.
Well, you may yet well be.
Dora, bring my overcoat, please.
Yes, sir.
Inspector, I'll be out today. I'll be out now. I will go visit Lady Irene as soon as possible.
Thank you. And as Dora fetches Higgins's coat, we go over to Lady Irene, who is at this time taking tea with London's second best medium, Madame Valeria Delacroix, who has invited Irene into her parlour, which is decorated interestingly. We've got this tasseled tablecloth hanging over this circular table, decorated with embroidered stars and symbols of varying occult nature. On a shelf there's a crystal ball covered in a velvet cloth. Various books of occult nature on prominent display. And the Madame herself there in this layers of black lace and this veil currently pushed back from her face as she pours tea into a floral teapot. From a floral teapot. Ah, Irene, we don't speak enough.
We don't, indeed. I thought I would check on you. I mean, I heard some interesting news.
Oh, the terrible, terrible business of Bidwell. Yes, the inspector visited this morning asking questions. Oh, awful. You see, I knew last night when I looked in his eyes, I could feel something terrible coming for him. But I had no idea, none at all, that it would be quite so soon or so sudden. But you know how it is when you look in their eyes and you know. You truly know.
Yes. Indeed. I also suspect that your business will be picking up after that. A good scandal like that.
Well, it's a terrible business. One does not want to profit from the misery and suffering of others. But yes, it does get one's name in the paper. We don't all have the patrons and connections that you do, Lady von Watts.
Just takes time and practical application, but we also... Was there anything really interesting going on at that seance. I'm just curious. Was there anything absolutely crazy that happened?
Just an ominous chill in the air. A feeling of great foreboding. To be honest, most of the people there did not seem very interested in the seance aspect. They were not true believers. One of the women was giggling through my introduction, and there was another man who looked incredibly bored and disbelieving, but
Well, you can't. It's hard to find true belief. It's very, what's the word they use? It's very fashionable to do seances, to go to seances.
Yes, Bidwell had no idea. He would not let me use my crystal ball. He had to fetch one of his own for me to use. And it wasn't even a ball, it was this cube. Whoever heard of a seance with a crystal cube?
Cube. Yeah. I don't... People...
It's not the same.
Could you even see through it?
No, it had something in the middle.
Oh my goodness. Some of these people are getting really particular. I think one of the last seances I did in recent time, I had to turn around 3 times before I entered the building.
What is this?
What's going on with people?
Going on, I am going to offer Irene, if you wish. I think, just check something here. Either like an intelligence or an education check here. No, actually, no, a spot hidden, I think is actually the word I'm after.
Okay. I will definitely
or
look.
Listen. There's lots of... Oh, listen, actually might be the one you're after here.
Yeah. All right. I'll use listen because I have more points in that.
Also, this is... I guess I think the correct skill for this. As she's talking and extolling, you notice that her accent is not entirely consistent. And, I mean, you've met French people before. This is not an entirely convincing French accent. And
It's all right, my dear. We can drop the axe. We're just here having tea, you know.
the act...
Just We're just 2 people in the same business having tea.
What act would that be, Lady Fontrots?
Your accent tends to lilt. You might want to balance it just a little bit.
Yeah. And where exactly are you the lady of?
Never said I was a lady. I just took the title. It's fun.
You know, I think that's a crime.
Could be. But I was always hoping to marry into some sort of title. Would be fun.
So what's your name really?
Charlotte.
Patty.
Yeah.
Patty Jenkins. Well. A good act. You got him fooled.
You do too. The only reason I noticed is because been in the same business.
Well, I'm taking language classes. I'm trying to actually learn it, but it's
Nice. That's good. You know, help with bringing out the confidence and everything like that.
I had a horrible seance the other week. Turned out one of the gentlemen was actually French, and I had to take possession. It was anyway. Yeah, honestly, this that Bidwell guy, right in that case.
You heard? I don't know if you heard about this, but he recently came back from the loony bin.
Oh, that would explain a lot.
That one was cracked.
Yeah.
Absolutely bargain.
He wanted me to like reach out to some place called Yakup. I don't know if it. What's a Yakup? Is it a thing? Is it a place? I don't know.
I was looking into it a bit, just because I get dragged into so much stuff. Scotland Yard drags me into places, and he has a journal, and he talks about that place.
Look, I don't want to know too much about it, but look, he was a crazy man. He had very set ideas, and yeah. But I don't think the butler did it. He was a really nice guy.
He was?
I felt really sorry for him having to work with the man. Bidwell clearly lost it. And there's poor Henry running around picking up pieces, and now everyone thinks he went and done his mastering, and they ain't right.
It really isn't. It really isn't.
But yeah, I don't know nothing more than guy was after something, but I don't know what a Yakub is.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to figure it out myself.
Well,
but they're definitely he's gone now. So I guess
yeah. Look, she holds up like a lunchtime printing of the local paper.
Paper already.
I'm summoning demons, apparently. I don't know who this Mr. Brennis is, but I don't know if I should punch him or kiss him. Wants to see how the jobs go. But
yes, see how the jobs go. Let me know, and we'll figure out the punching or kissing. Because I've heard of him. He was snooping around the house.
Well, he was. Well, yeah. Tell him from me that I've got my eye on him.
Okay, I will.
Anyway,
I will do it in my best French accent.
Oui.
So that he gets the full je ne sais quoi.
Très bien. Anyway, thank you very much.
No problem. And I think you needed this. Yeah, I think you needed this.
We should take tea more often. You and I. And perhaps if you have more of those fancy upper crust clientele and you don't have enough time, you could perhaps
I'll send them. I'll send
recommend.
them. Yes.
Right.
I can recommend you. But yes. And as always, we can pretend to hate each other when we go out the door, blah, blah, blah.
Of course, that Lady Irene, she is nothing but a charlatan.
Yeah, exactly.
You cannot trust the word she says.
Yes, we keep that up, and, then we can double up.
To work on that. Yes.
Yeah, we can double up on that. Yeah, it's fine. But yeah, same time next week.
Yeah, we. Alright,
Yep.
And as you head back to the society, Franco, after picking up Morgan, where are you headed?
Well, we would be headed directly for the London Esoteric Society, since we, since I'm, just trying to get this connection up and running. I might have seen, my article on the front page and be, a lot happier than I was about 10 minutes ago.
All right. So, as you're arriving over at the society, Irene isn't back from her tea yet, but you arrive at about the same time that Mr. Higgins has arrived. Mr. Higgins, you're just heading up the steps of the society when you see two other gentlemen approaching.
I will speed up to try to get there first.
Okay, you arrive there first.
Use the knocker. Kung.
And the door opens, and you see a smartly dressed butler.
Excuse me, sir.
Afternoon, sir.
Yes, I'm terribly sorry. I'm in a rush here. I need to speak with Lady Irene von Watts.
I'm afraid Lady Irene is out at the moment. She's expected back any moment. May I take your name, sir?
Of course. The name is Dee Higgins. I'm employed at... here's my card.
Oh!
I was asked to come here by Inspector Henry Barnes.
Yes. Come in. Take a seat in the parlor. So, this is an employment agency, right? You do job placements?
It is. It absolutely is. Yeah. You said she'll be back in a moment.
Yeah, any moment. She'd gone to take tea with a friend.
Wonderful. May I wait in the parlor or...
Oh, yes. Would you like some tea, sir?
Please.
Yes.
Please. That may calm me.
Yes, you look... If you don't mind me saying so, you look awfully pale. Are you all right, sir?
Hey, I don't believe I am. Thank you for asking. I don't believe I am.
Unfortunately, many of the people who come here are not. Anyway, I'll get you some tea. I think we've got some biscuits somewhere as well.
Thank you. I'll just have a seat here. Is that...
Yes, take a seat, take a seat.
Thank you.
And I think we will just walk up right past and right behind him, and then just wave and enter.
Well, the door would have been closed behind him.
Oh,
so,
okay.
yeah.
So we would have to knock again.
Yeah.
So I was like, if we could see each other, I was like thinking if we, stood directly behind it. But okay.
No.
Ooh, knock again.
You're back.
Yeah. I brought the PI. Is Lady Irene there already, or
No,
is she still?
She's still at tea. A gentleman just arrived to see her. I put him in the parlor. Would you mind waiting with him for a moment?
Sure. I don't mind. We can just chat a little.
I was just on my way downstairs to fetch up some tea from the kitchen.
Oh, perfect.
He looks a little shaken, so perhaps
I should be careful. Oh, okay. I'll do my best.
And he sort of nods hello to Mr. Crushley and says, "Just ring if you need anything else. I'll send someone up."
Sure.
Heads downstairs to the kitchens.
If you think he has a bad day, what do you think he's going to have when he sees my face? Huh?
It's, I don't know. It's just looking a bit scary. But I guess these things happen, and there's a lot of people out in the streets that have if you want to tell what happened, you can, but you don't have to.
We'll talk about it later, mate.
I'm not making a story out of it, I think.
You better not. Oh, I'll kick your ass, mate.
But yes, Higgins, you've just got comfortable in the parlor when these two ruffians, disreputable, I can't say that word. You know what I'm trying to say, looking types.
Yeah.
Good
I go
afternoon.
a little... my afternoon. What? Yes, good afternoon. You see my face go even paler.
You want to sit down, laddie?
Pardon?
Do you want to sit down, laddie? You look a little pale.
Well, yes, what? Yes, this is terrible of me to ask, but what the fuck happened to you?
We'll need a little more drinks to speak about that.
I'm very sorry for your accident. Yes,
Don't mention it. Here, take the chair. You really need it. I've never seen someone who does that. Here, the chair.
Thank you. Apparently tea will be served shortly, and My friend has died. I'm sorry. Stand back up. My name is D.D. Higgins. Pleasure.
Nice to meet you. I'm Morgan McCrashley.
I'm Franco. Hello.
Mr. McCrashley, Mr. Franco.
I think you need a whiskey in that tea. You look like it.
I'm afraid that's part of the problem. I've had too much in the last 24 hours. I don't need any more. I need sleep, I think, but that is not going to come easily. I'm an agent for a job placement agency. What's your line of business, if I may ask?
Well, I'm a reporter. Was the only thing that I got. So, maybe if you have like stuff that's paid better than, freelancer at the mailman, I'll be listening.
Are you soliciting me here? Well, I'll see what I can do, Mr. Franco. I'll pull out another card. You're welcome to come see me at the agency if you think you need to. And you,
Sure.
If we are exchanging card, here is mine. And I'll take you my card, and there is Morgan McCrashley, private investigator, just underneath it.
This is, sir, I may say you have an exceptional name. Your name itself is advertising.
Yeah, thank you for that. I haven't chosen it.
No, but it has a ring to it if you understand poetry and whatnot. Morgan McCutchley.
Not McCutchley, yes. McCrashley.
McCrashley.
Crash like a crash.
Mm-hmm.
Lay.
Morgan McCrashley.
Yeah.
Even better.
And as you're making these introductions, it's about then when, Irene, you return home. And as you enter into the house, you see James coming up the stairs from the kitchen downstairs holding a tea tray with 3 cups on it. Mum?
Do we have guests?
Oh, yes, Lady Irene. There's 3 gentlemen waiting in the parlour for you. The reporter from earlier, a guy with an interesting face, and a man called Mr. Higgins who was sent here by the inspector. Look pretty shaken up. I was bringing them some tea. I'll fetch another cup for you, if that's.
Thank you.
I'll take this through.
She kind of dusts herself off and comes walking into the parlor.
Stand up immediately. Oh, hello. I suppose you're Lady Irene.
Indeed.
Hello. I'm sorry for barging into your home. I'm D.D. Higgins. I was asked by Inspector Barnes to come speak with you about the seance last night.
And she does take his hand, and I understand it was, from what I've also gathered, it was an interesting event.
Not really. I suppose what followed was interesting. That would not be the term I'd use, but very eventful. When I was there, nothing interesting happened at all. At least, not that I can recall. But excuse me for intruding, gentlemen. I didn't want to monopolize the conversation.
It's all right. Franco, nice to see you.
Hello.
Was-
This is the PI I was talking about. I'm not sure whether right now or later is the best time spot, but that's all on you. Yeah.
It's fine. Hello, nice to
Nice.
meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Lady Irene. I'm Morgan D. McCrashley. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure's mine. She is looking kind of in that area, but she is doing her best to not try and show that she's a little shocked. But we seem to be lacking someone with investigative skill.
Pardon? Beg your pardon?
We seem to be lacking someone that has investigative skill, so I'm hoping that you'll be able to help us.
Yeah, the little dude here, the little laddie told me about it, so I just came see what I can do for you. Oh, but I seems to hear that a little strange story of murder. That's it.
Yes, it seems like everyone here is kind of involved. Mr. Higgins here was at the seance that happened before the murder.
It really was nothing.
I just came from the medium that performed the seance and didn't seem like anything strange was happening there.
Validated.
So, do you have a lead? Or do you have somebody in mind? Is there somebody who's is the police searching for someone?
The police is searching for the prime suspect, which is the butler.
The butler.
He has come up missing from what I've seen. He was last seen at a bookshop, and we are working with an associate to hopefully he will come back there at some point. So nothing odd happened at the seance, Mr. Higgins.
I don't know quite how to say this. My brother and I had celebrated just before. We're partners together in our placement agency. We had our own small celebration. I arrived slightly inebriated, and frankly, this morning, when the inspector walked in, I didn't remember having been there. But now it all came back to me, I suppose, to an extent. I arrived, there were people there that I didn't know. I passed pleasantries. Bidwell, John Bidwell, my deceased friend, bid us all sit around a table. I didn't even really speak to Bidwell last night. He was very preoccupied. I was not in a right mind. We sat around a table. Your friend, I suppose, conducted a seance looking into a glass cube, making remarks about it being inappropriate or insufficient or something. And then I may have said something some sort of scoffing remark myself. I'm not sure. I found it quite amusing and insignificant, and then I left. Once it was over, it was a short experience, and I was quite keen to get home. I did have another drink or two there at Bidwell's, and that, I'm afraid that's all I can really recall. I could perhaps identify other people who were there, but it's a murky memory. I am sorry.
It's all right. Here, I can try and figure out the details. And she starts pulling her gloves off. I assume the inspector has kind of filled you in on what I do.
Not one bit. What you do? I assume that you an investigator of sorts of special cases.
I am an investigator of sorts. Special cases being anything occult in nature. That's what the London Esoteric Society focuses on, is defending London from crazy individuals. People that have gone off the deep end and may have stumbled on things they shouldn't.
Lady Irene, you are acquainted with my brother-in-law, who has told me quite a bit about you. All of it sparkling, but I didn't really believe much of it. His name is Reginald Bloomington.
Reggie!
Yes, Reggie.
Yes. I remember.
Yes. Reggie has told me several fantastical tales of which he is entirely unsuited for, and I didn't believe much of what he said, but he does speak highly of you. And I must admit I'm trepidatious in being in your presence and being involved in this to whatever extent.
No one wants to be involved in a murder investigation, I assure you.
Quite.
I personally abhor being pulled into this sort of things. But someone has to do the job. So maybe I can help see into what's going on. And she kind of just holds her hands out. And it's like, just give me your hands. Yeah.
My hands, very well. Certainly, yeah.
No. Her hands are probably a little cold, even from wearing gloves.
And mine are cold too, because I'm pale and bloodless right now, freaked out.
Pale and bloodless. That's an interesting way of putting it. All right.
I'm
gonna roll.
Give me a roll for psychometry, or as we call it in these parts, mediumship.
Let's see. What do I need to make that work?
To make that a success, you would need 13 points of luck, I believe.
I will spend that.
Okay. So, you're getting this hazy glimpse back. What are you trying to focus on here?
I'm trying to focus on the seance.
Okay. So
And
with just the success, your focus is a little hazy, your aim is a little off. But you find yourself seeing through Higgins's eyes as we go back to the night before, as a drunk Higgins arrives at Bidwell's townhouse. And Higgins, you're sort of experiencing this memory too, and you're remembering things perhaps that you had slightly forgotten in the haze of alcohol, things that you're like seeing differently now. It's almost like having a glimpse back into your own memories as you arrive at the townhouse to find the gathering of the evening already underway. You can hear voices from like the main room, you can hear the clink of glasses and the murmur of chatter as you arrive in, and Yates takes your coat. good to see you, sir.
Oh, we're in roleplay. I didn't understand.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
yeah. Basically, as long as you can't warn them about the murder you don't know is going to happen.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
Yes.
I give Yates almost a bear hug. He probably is stand. It's wonderful to see you again, Mr. Yates. Thank you for taking my coat. So what is this about? I was invited here as to a seance, and I am not at all aware of anything about such. What is going on, Yates?
Honestly, I have no idea. Ever since the master got back from Albrook, he's been inviting occultists over at all sorts of odd hours.
Cultists. What a
Occultists. The O is apparently very important. I shouldn't gossip about them, all that. But
of course
I'm
not.
a little worried
Yates.
for him. If you could perhaps, have a word with him, make sure.
If he has
sure he's
time
all
for
right.
me, it seems like there's a party. Yates.
Yes.
Is there anything to drink here? Because
yes. There's he's cracked open the wine cellar. All the best.
Yates, I want to tell you, my friend, and I clap him on the shoulder. Yates, my brother and I have really forged a comeback with the company. We are so thankful to finally have gotten our feet back under us. It is, well, he sends his regards.
Good. I'm really glad. I mean, I'm grateful you found me a good position here, Yeah.
You seem to be fitting in quite well.
Brief hospitalizations of your boss set aside, but things
Hospital?
It's not really big to say, but yes, he's not been well. Was out of London for the last few months.
Is he well
Getting
tonight?
some sea air.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Always one for the sea air.
Yes. Well, here you go.
Thank you,
Bidwell's
Yates.
best. Right, I'd better go. I have. Yes, I'll talk to you later. We should meet. I've got next Sunday off. If you're around.
Come see me. Yes, drop me a line.
I've got busy life. I can't. Servants can't be running off at any odd hour.
Righto, Yates, old boy. We'll meet at maybe the pub or.
Yes. After church, obviously.
We'll throw darts together or something.
Yeah. Yes.
Cribbage. Yes, of course. It'd be nice to catch up. I'm gonna wander over here and possibly skip out early, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yes. So, the party sort of passed by hazily. Higgins sort of is in conversation with a couple more people, but as there is copious, very high-quality alcohol just available, and quite a lot of the guests seem to be there mostly to get quite drunk. The chatter spills over, some people drift out, and it's a couple of hours later before Bidwell actually makes an appearance at his own party.
How many people would you say were there?
At this point, probably about a dozen people. Some of those that were there earlier have drifted off. You don't recognize a lot of these people. Some of them you might recognize as people have vague associations with stuff like the Theosophical Society, but it's not stuff you really have dealings with. There's one woman, a French woman, who tried to read your palm and wearing an excessive amount of veil. But she just said you'd have a long and happy life.
Of course I will. Thank you for that.
And that there was a great fortune coming in your future.
Of course there is. Would you care for a drink?
Is this to
the French woman?
No, not whilst I'm working.
Then I will go get one for myself. Thank you very much for the reading. I will perhaps speak with you later. Good night.
Bien. And as you wander back to get more drinks, Bidwell enters the room, and He's well dressed, but he looks pale. His eyes sunken, dark shadows underneath them still, and he sort of passes through the room. The conversation around him seems to quieten down a little.
Bidwell, you old sot. How are you?
Oh, I am excellent. Excellent. Higgins, yes, you've been at the wine.
Well, my brother and I have come into quite a bit of success, and I'm afraid we had our own little celebration earlier. What is this nonsense you've invited me to here? A seance.
This is not a seance. This is a farewell party. I am going on a great journey.
Bidwell. Well, I thought you were on a journey.
No, a greatest expedition to the most amazing place. You wouldn't believe it if I told you. This is...
I believe you, Bidwell. You're always saying such things.
The things I have seen beyond this world, beyond this world, truly. There are things out there far beyond our comprehension.
Of course. We barely comprehend anything, as you know.
Oh, you don't even know the half of it. But they've shown me such marvelous things. But you'll when I get back there, I can return, and this it's going to be marvelous.
Bidwell, I don't know what you're talking about, but I hope this
It's all right,
fun.
old friend. It's all right. But you wouldn't understand until you experienced it. You can't comprehend the magnificent, the scale of it all. The stars, Higgins, the stars. Now, I must get set up. Find.
Bidwell, I thought you were talking about some sort of sexual situation. The stars?
No. This is a scientific exploration endeavor. Higgins, get your mind out of the gutter.
My mind? That's all you usually talk about, Bidwell.
Well, yes, but I have learnt. I have moved beyond that. I have transcended the desires and needs of human flesh. I'm putting that behind me.
So this is not concerning Clarabelle?
No.
This is not concerning Renee?
No.
Very well. Bidwell, I'm going to sit down over there and just watch, okay?
Yes. Look, take a seat. We're running a seance. Just sit there and I need 13 people. Just sit there and don't throw upon anything.
I like your cube, Bidwell. Your cube on the table, Bidwell. The big glass cube.
Stop looking at it. Sit there.
Okay,
Don't
thank you.
touch it.
Thank you, I will.
And as Bidwell seats the rest of the 13 people around his table, the vision becomes hazy and indistinct. You get a brief snatch of the lights being dimmed and of Madame Valeria leaning over the cube and muttering something. But then you're back in the present with Higgins. And for the rest of you in the room, this took a matter of a couple of seconds. I think Franco has... Have you seen Irene do this before?
Yes, in the house where the accident happened.
Yes, but this is Morgan. This is new for you. You watch us, like, for a moment the two of them go still, and then with a blink, everyone's back in the present.
Lady
Quickly,
Irene, that
let's
was
go.
remarkable, but the last thing I said to him was in jest. I made fun of him. Oh, I don't want to do that anymore.
I don't like doing it myself. Honestly. It's helpful. It's very helpful.
I forgot, actually. Could I have a sanity check from Higgins, actually? Because you've not...
He's not told us.
You've not been on a little memory lane.
Yeah.
I will have
That
one from
was
Irene as well,
odd.
but Irene... never failed a sanity check in her bloody life.
Sanity.
There was a feat for Iron Will. I think that would work.
Yeah, sanity is up on the right-hand side, quite high up. It's got its own little
Gotcha.
special section.
And I click in the purple one, correct?
The green. The green.
The green.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you hit the purple by accident, that does not matter. All
Did it work?
right. Yes, that is a success. You are, rolling with this. This is
Sane.
not impacting your current sanity anymore.
Good. Good to know.
And Irene is perfectly fine. She did this on purpose.
You got an extreme success. I rolled a 2, y'all.
Yes.
Wasted a perfectly good roll.
I know.
Yes, to say that one lost point of sanity, but an extreme success it was indeed. But yeah.
But yes, I don't particularly like doing it myself, and she puts the gloves back on quickly. So Yates seemed like he was an upstanding individual at some point.
Well, of course he was. He is a fine gentleman.
Except I quite confirmed that he was the person, at least the physical person, that murdered Mr. Bidwell.
I don't know should I ask this question, but what do you mean, at least the physical person? That doesn't make sense.
From what I saw at the scene of the crime, Yates tried to take the cube from Bidwell and put it away, and something happened there, and Yates was not himself anymore. That's what it seems like.
You mean his mind snapped?
Either...
Something...
I wish it was that simple. I wish it was just the mind snap, but because the mind can't keep up with everything. Trust me. I have associates here that have almost set houses on fire because of incidences. But what I mean is he started moving not like he was used to having a physical body. It was disjointed movement. It was like he didn't understand exactly how to walk or move. From what I saw.
What the hell do you people do here? What are we talking about? He's a man.
If you don't mind me asking, what did just happen here?
Well, I don't know exactly how to explain it, but when I touch objects or people, I can see back into the past.
You can see what he saw.
Indeed. He was indeed drunk at the seance. Mr. Bidwell needed 13 people specifically for this seance. He seemed very disturbed. Like he was very excited. He was going on a trip. Something about the stars. It wasn't mentioned directly here, but I'm assuming that's what Yukub is, where Yukub is, from his journal and from what I got from the medium that was present.
Was he on something? Did he take drugs? Was he drunk? Was he alcoholic or something? Or Mr. Higgins? Was that the first time he spoke about something like that?
Mr. McCrash, She took my hands and I saw everything that happened last night up to a point. I spoke with my friend and I didn't even remember doing so. He made no sense either.
So it was the first time he spoke like that.
Yes, he mentioned something about stars. He mentioned something about being the most fantastic place and taking a wonderful journey, but didn't really say anything to me. He's always been the philanderer, and I supposed at first he was talking about one of his female partners, but it appears he was not, and I didn't take him seriously whatsoever. He was going somewhere, and he was going to see something. When he said the stars, it didn't seem like the ones that we can look outside and see up above.
Do you think he meant a special place? A place he knew? I don't know. Here.
He told me repeatedly, I don't understand. And I couldn't understand.
All
And then
right.
he sat me in a chair and then I left after the seance was over. No, it meant nothing to me. He was a friend of mine, a good friend, and I would get to the bottom of this if I could. If there's anything I can do to help you people, please don't hesitate to ask, but I don't feel I have anything to offer.
You know what? I think it's really strange is Mr. Higgins here is saying that Mr. Yates was it? Yeah, Yates. He's a fine gentleman. But you are telling me he's the prime suspect of this murder. So there is something that's really strange. I don't know a lot of murderers who are going to a bookshop. Just afterwards, they killed someone. Someone who killed somebody and who knows he's been searched by the police or anybody, he is on the run. He doesn't go to bookshops. There is something not quite well in this story. We are missing pieces.
This is what we're trying to figure out is apparently Mr. Bidwell. I appreciate you letting me do that, Mr. Higgins. We got a little bit more information. Apparently, Mr. Bidwell specifically had a stay in Albrook recently. And Keeper, I'm trying to remember. Where was that lovely Belfont boy sent for the remainder of his days?
He was sent to Albrook Sanatorium. Down on the coast.
Interesting. Very interesting.
To remain forever.
So normally when someone goes on a vacation to a sanatorium, they come back better than they were. It seems like Mr. Bidwell.
Are you saying Bidwell was in the sanatorium for a while?
Indeed.
He didn't came better than when he went there.
Seemed fine to me. Although more excited than usual.
I'm thinking he talked to someone while in there. Someone that shouldn't really be talking to anyone anymore.
Do you have someone in mind?
About 5 years ago, there were incidences with the Belfont family.
Wait, what? The Belfonts?
Yes.
The high respected family? Belfonts?
Yes.
The crap family I'm looking for? Oh, that's crispy. Now that's getting interesting. So let me get it straight. I don't know much about the Bellefonds. The only thing I know of them is that they are smuggling some artifacts here in London, straight from Egypt. So I was kind of looking into them. And now you're telling me that there is still a Bellefonds alive.
There is one Bellefonds alive. I don't know if Reggie told you this full story, Mr. Higgins, but he
Sure.
actually was present when we the Bellefonds decided to blow their own house up.
Reggie was involved in a house explosion?
Indeed. It was
Wow.
quite a fantastical tale, so I could understand why, if you were very deep into your cups and he told you about it, you might not believe it. But the Bellefonds are... I would not be surprised that they were smuggling artifacts from Egypt. They have
Excuse me, Lady Irene. I am not often in my cups. This just happened to be an unusual series of events. And Reggie is often quite the boob. It's difficult for me to place him in such a situation. But let's be clear, I'm not a drunk.
was not trying to insinuate that you were, but if you and your brother get together and fun and frivolity can happen. But I
From time to
appreciate
time.
the correction. But so they in the Bellefonds estate, they have an obelisk that was in their backyard, in their garden. The Bellefonds were very well-known shipping magnates. One of the particular things that they did is they were into the occult in a bad way. See, when people would get in their way for something, they would proceed to murder them via on-land drowning.
Wait, what?
Like forcing water down their throats?
I still don't understand quite how they do it, or did it, I should say, but they were able to basically make an individual's lungs fill with river water or seawater. There was a string of on-land drownings several years ago, and that's originally how we were brought in to investigate.
What have I gotten myself into?
So smuggling, I do understand, but occultism, like, you really mean there are like some magic or some voodoo thing, like they kill people like with by drowning them.
Mhm.
And you see me become pale, like, whoa. Okay, so here's the thing. We need to do two things now. One, we need to go to the apartment or to the house or to the place where Yates is living, if he has something like that, or he was maybe living with Bidwells, I don't know. Maybe he sees chambers. And two, we need to go to the sanatorium.
I was just going to get into that. I don't know if we have Yates's address on file.
I think as a butler, he'd probably have had rooms in Bidwell's house.
That's what I was assuming, but
But Higgins would also have like his family's address and stuff on file.
Mr. Higgins, does Mr. Yates have another address than Mr. Bidwell's house?
I would have to check and see. I don't know off the top of my head, but I certainly would have that information at the office.
All right. Could you ask for someone to get this one for us? In the meantime, if we need to go to the sanatorium, do you think we need a special? We can go there to investigate. Do you have special agreements with the police if we need to speak with the Belfonds?
I might be able to talk to the inspector, but in my previous experience with a private detective, you usually have some sort of writ or paperwork that you could bring to.
Yeah, but it doesn't work everywhere. So I think for a sanatorium, I think I can go everywhere, but it's still a hospital, you know. I can get a few information, but see someone, I think I will require a little more than that. Do I, storyteller?
You'd probably have. You'd know how to get yourself into a place like that.
But
Either by, proper connections or a bit of money. Like, you've probably had to go to talk to people in hospitals and places like that before, and data protection acts have not really yet been invented, so.
Okay. So, but yeah, if you don't want to, yeah, maybe it's not involve Mr. Detective Barnes in this. Do you have time now? Could we go right now, or do you have something else in mind to do?
Well, we could definitely go quite shortly. I mean, Higgins obviously would like to go and check his paperwork so that we can get full details. I have another associate that is working on the outside cover of a book that Yates, or whatever's inside Yates right now, is requesting. So at some point in the future, that will happen. But I do believe we need to talk to Cecil Belfont. Was it Cecil?
Charles. Cecil is your lawyer.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Charles Belfont.
But, yeah, it sounds like, you're taking a trip to the seaside. With perhaps a pause to get some paperwork beforehand. And I think we will get on to that, if that's all right, after a brief break, if that's all right. Okay, we'll be back in 10 minutes. As we left off, our investigators were planning a little trip to the seaside to visit Elbrook Sanatorium. And did you have anything else you wish to get done in London before heading to Elbrook? Or will that wait till your return?
I think Franco would pay the place of the murder a quick visit and try to get into the room of the butler and have a quick look around.
You are now allowed in the place because you're known to be associated, but looking around, there's nothing out of the ordinary. It seems to be everything you'd expect from the room of a respectable upstanding man. Perhaps there's a bottle of whiskey hidden behind the cabinet, but nothing really out of the ordinary. Yates seems to have been perfectly decent chap.
Sure.
Nothing occultish, nothing out of the ordinary.
I will have been with him when we went to Yates, I think. Because I would like to see the place. of the suspect. But I will ask to see the library or the place where the seance has been to see if I can see something connected to the about what Bidwell spoke about the stars, you know, and I want to see if I can see something connected to that.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, by the time you get to the police and also Franco and the others have been over this place before. But give me a spot hidden if you'd like, or.
Yeah, but it's just really it's really about the stars, you know, something if I can connect something to that. Spot hidden, huh?
Either spot hidden or a library use if you're specifically looking through the books. Your choice.
The purple one or the green one?
The green one.
The green one.
Yeah, looking around the place. Now specifically looking for stars, there are a couple of books like on like the night sky and the stars of the sky sort of in Bidwell's collection that look like they've been recently read, but they're just sort of ordinary star charts.
Yeah, nothing suspect. All right, cheers.
But at this point, probably, you know, given some follow-ups and looking around, it's getting on for late in the day. Do you want to head down to Albrook on sort of the last evening train? Or do you want to leave the next morning?
I would say the next morning because my wife would not appreciate it if I just bail out.
Also, we know where we sleep here, and there we need to, you know, look for accommodations.
Yeah. So everyone heads off to get a troubled night's rest, probably in many cases, their respective abodes. And the next morning, you gather, probably at the train station as you're heading down to Brighton. This would be the fastest and most sensible route to get down south of London. And you, depending on who's paying for this, you can probably travel in reasonable style, in probably finer style than Franco's accustomed to. I think the rest of you are all, you know, upstanding society people, or at least in background. So you can get a compartment as the train chugs its way out of the station, heading down to Brighton.
Should I subtract any money based on that?
No.
Okay.
It's within daily expenses.
Okay.
Essentially, you don't really need to worry about money in Call of Cthulhu unless you want to buy anything like a house or bribe a governmental official or do anything that's out of what would be your person's daily expense level. And taking a train is perfectly reasonable. So yeah.
I was just thinking the London Esoteric Society probably footed the bill. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, you've got funds in the bank.
Yeah.
And yeah, you find yourself sat in one of those little compartments on the train. You've got the corridor running down one side and window off the other as the city rushes by, and then the countryside, passing few towns on your way down to the coast. And as you get nearer, you sort of smell the salty sea air, and we're in March. It's still quite a cold day. The sky is this overcast grey colour that's mirrored by the sea underneath it, and the cold wind is blowing in off the channel. The train pulls in to Brighton Station, and around the town there are a few people promenading up and down, even in the cold, with their coats on. It's not raining today, so they've not had to put up their umbrellas, but it's not summer holiday weather. It's British seaside town in March. Everything has a slight chilly, grey, slightly fishy smell to it.
Delicious.
Just taste the ocean. But you'd easily be able to get directions to Albrook is, a couple of miles outside of the town itself, up on a hill overlooking the sea.
I suppose we should hire a carriage to get us there and to bring us back.
Indeed.
Shouldn't be expensive. I can foot that bill. I can take care of it. Excuse me, cabby.
Yeah, sir.
We need a ride to Albrook Sanatorium. 4 of us.
Yes, sir.
And once we're there, can you wait for us to finish and return?
Of course, sir. Visiting?
Visiting, that's one way to put it. Less questions asked, the better.
Oh, sorry, sir. Yep, of course, sir. All right, yeah, I can get you up there. Let me just, you got any bags you need a hand with?
I think it's just us.
All right, I'll give the lady a hand up.
Thank you.
And the carriage sort of rattles up the hill, and what comes into view is this large brick building built on top of the hill. It's got a wall around the grounds that is rather high and imposing, a wrought iron gate, and arched over it, of course, the wrought iron letters that say Albrook. And through the gate, the drive winds up this gravel drive up to the front steps of this big, imposing brick building against the grey sky beyond. You hear the waves crashing against the shore, sort of at the bottom of the cliffs that lead down into the ocean. And there are a few trees and seems to be a bit of garden around, and you can see a few people that seem to be walking in the garden, not that close to where the carriage pulls up, but they seem to be mostly walking in pairs. You can make out what look to be a couple of sort of attendants or nurses walking with other individuals around the grounds.
How many? Oh, never mind. I'll ask something when we get inside.
This looks quite beautiful. I mean, if you overlook like the big wall, but if it was a bit sunnier, might even be a resort.
Be nice.
Let's wait to judge that until we're indoors and see what the actual place is like. But I agree, it's quite nice out here.
Well, let's go in. Let's visit the Belfont person.
As you head up the steps, there's a big front desk with a bell on it.
Ding.
Ding ding ding. A bell rings off somewhere, and shortly after, a youngish-looking man with glasses and a doctor's coat meets jacket, sort of the situation going on, comes hurrying out. Yes, sorry, we weren't expecting visitors this morning.
Morning. We are here to visit, to speak with Mr. Belfont.
Mr. Belfont? you. Sorry, I didn't introduce myself. Dr. Nathan Lake. I am in charge of this establishment here. And Mr. Belfont is one of my patients. Yeah.
I'm Captain Morgan D. McCrashley. This is Lady Irene von Watts, Franco Bernice, and Mr. D.D. Higgins.
Nice to make your acquaintance,
Hi,
Doctor.
Yes. Well, this is a surprise. And you're all here to see Mr. Belfont?
Oh. Yes.
Perhaps, Doctor, you could answer a question or two before we leave at some point.
Yes, if I can, I will do my best.
Thank you, sir.
But I must. Sorry.
Did he seem worried when we asked for Mr. Belfont?
Make me a psychology check, please.
That'd be a hard success.
Less worry and more. There's almost a pricking up of his ears, especially when he heard Lady Irene be introduced. Like, he definitely recognized that name. And yeah, he seems a little standoffish, perhaps, in the way he was standing before you sort of started saying you were there to see Belfont, and then he's the hint of a smile. He simply seems intrigued by this. He's like, come in. Look, I'm not sure it'd be a good idea for people's a lot of people, and a lot of my patients are of a delicate constitution. We here like to consider ourselves a reformed establishment. We are the comfort and care of our patients is our almost priority, even for those who have been committed under unfortunate and tragic circumstances, like Mr. Belfont. I'm sure
place is
you're
quite
aware
nice.
of. Oh yes, instead came out of the nothing like the sort of places you'd find at the start of the century. We have come a long way. It's the modern sanatorium.
Well, one could say it could be quite a bit worse.
Oh yes. But he leads you through what are essentially these quite austere corridors painted in this thick white paint, halfway down, and then the bottom half in this sickly mintish green color. Everything has there's a sort of smell of almost like cleaning, not like modern disinfectants, but there's definitely this place has been scrubbed with lye, and it's clean, but in a kind of off-puttingly clean way. And you pass by nurses in very starched uniforms, pinned up under caps, as Dr. Lake leads you through and sort of sits you down in what appears to be a slightly more comfortably appointed room than the corridors, but still definitely not friendly. And there are, although you've got a view of the sea, there are still bars on the windows. And he settles you down. He goes, so you are sure aware of the circumstances under which Mr. Belfont was committed to our care here?
I'm completely unaware. Lady Irene?
If I remember correctly, his the family house suffered a significant incident, loss of life of significant portion, and he is the sole person left. And that is a significant tragedy which has embedded on Charles's mind, if I remember correctly. It's been several years.
His father and the rest of his family were killed in a tragic gas explosion that took out the family home, and poor Charles was left with certain delusions. I think it might be unwise, Lady Irene, for you to see him.
That makes sense.
He seems to be under the belief... your name is familiar to me. He seems to be under the belief that you were involved in setting fire to his house. Which, of course, Lady Irene, is quite preposterous.
Yes,
But
indeed.
It doesn't do, perhaps, to stir up that memory with him.
I do not want to cause him any duress, if possible, but there were some questions that we were looking to get answered. Some dealings with the family. There is also another individual that had left the establishment a few months ago, Mr. Bidwell.
Yeah, I am familiar with that name, but you must understand I can't simply go handing out all the information on my former patients. May I ask why you wish to know of Bidwell?
He recently passed away.
Oh, that's awful. I'm sorry to hear that.
Doctor, are you the doctor for all the patients here? Are you the main analyst?
The main. I'm in charge of this facility. I do have a few people working under me, but I am the primary physician, yes.
My only purpose here is to check in on my dear friend, Mr. Bidwell, who unfortunately passed away several days ago, and this was his residence for some time, I have come to understand, and those were the questions I'd like to ask you before we leave.
Well, you know,
Surely, Doctor.
I think I'm going to ask for a role here of some sort of charm or persuade, a social interaction role here.
Awesome. That's what I was hoping for.
Eventually, you kind of,
Hey, before I do this, let me make sure I made my character correctly. I put a lot of points in persuade. That's good, right?
Yes.
I'm supposed to roll high. Okay.
Yes. High is good. Now, you're meant to roll low, but if you've got...
What happened? I don't see where the...
Okay. Your aim in Call of Cthulhu is to roll as low as possible and to get under your skill. So your skill in Persuade is a 60, so anything under 60 is a success.
Oh.
Unfortunately, you rolled 100, which in Call of Cthulhu is what counts as a fumble, which is bad. So
fun.
In trying to sort of win this man over, I'm trying to think what's the worst reasonable thing that could happen here.
I like drool. Some drool leaks out of my mouth as I'm speaking.
He's like, because, sir, I'm afraid I cannot give out information on my past patients. If you wish to speak to Belfont and he wishes to speak to you, that is fine, but I'm afraid Bidwell's details will remain confidential. Even if he is dead, even dead men deserve their secrets.
And is there a way to acquire all this information? And I look at you with my bad eye, Like, you know, because if it's a police warrant that's
If you
needed,
have a police warrant, then I would, yes, but this time I will not be cajoled into giving away information to so-called friends. You see him, he's eyeing up Higgins with a little suspicion. Like, something about Higgins has just really rubbed him the wrong way. He doesn't know what it is, you don't know what it is, but just for some reason he's just taken an instant dislike to this man. Despite all evidence to the contrary.
Yes,
Hey,
they.
Doctor.
I completely understand not wanting me in Charles's presence. Obviously there's some sort of delusion he's had, but I believe there are some questions to ask him, and I do not mind sending my associates in my
Yes,
stead.
I am happy for, I said, one or two of your associates to speak with him.
And she's trying to be very charming and very agreeable, and it's very much that trying to be delicate and demure.
Give me a charm or a persuade here. And please, if you roll another 100, I think you may be thrown out of the sanatorium. Or never thrown out of the sanatorium.
Oh gosh. Let me see which one do I
It's been a while since I've seen someone roll a fumble. And luckily this time no fire or explosives were involved, so...
Yay! I mean, I fail, but it's not fumble. Counts.
No, so he seems... Maybe it's Higgins has put him on edge, but he doesn't seem particularly open. He's like...
Mm-hmm. I don't want to deteriorate Mr. Belfont's condition.
I can give one of you 10 minutes with him. No more. I don't want to overtax his constitution or his mind. Which one of you will it be?
I look at Lady Irene. I don't want anything to do with that interview.
Well, if we know what we're gonna ask, I mean, if we have 10 minutes to not overtax him, we should probably, have the things that we want to ask prepared, so that we, don't overburden the poor man.
I think there was something about Egyptian artifacts that needs to be asked. I believe we also need to ask about Mr. Bidwell being associated with him at the sanatorium while they were under care.
And don't forget something about stars.
Yeah, that's...
Yes. You can specify, and Irene kind of looks, I don't know who's going to be picked up, but your cup.
What?
Your cup.
Your cup.
It's in Bidwell.
Oh,
Bidwell's journal.
yeah, I remember.
Okay.
I remember. Do you want Mr. Crashley, or should I do the eyes?
I think I'm going to scare the bloke off, so I think...
Oh, so it's all on me, right? Okay.
you have a sweet face, so I think it will be all right with you,
He does have a sweet face. Franco, you have a totally sweet face.
Well,
Like a newborn babe.
well, thank you. I'll go then.
All right, well, please come with me. And Dr. Lake leads Franco up out of the room. And at least for a brief time being, the rest of the three of you are left unattended. in this office.
Is this his office?
It looks to be like the outer room of his office. There seems to be like this outer, like, room with some slightly comfier chairs, and there's a door at one end with a little plaque on it that says, Dr. Nathan Lake.
Okay.
So as the three of you are left, is there anything you'd like to do during the time you are not being watched?
Yes, I will stand up and walk to the door that the doctor just went out of and say, Mr. McCreshley, is this the type of place that one might keep records of Mr. Bidwell's stay here? And I'm going to lean against the door, so if somebody tries to get in, they'll have to push me.
Oh. Yeah.
That internal office. That one. Can any of you pick locks?
I've never done so.
Oh, it's not really my style, you know. I could kick the door and say that there was a patient, but I don't think you'll believe me, you know.
I'm gonna walk
Perhaps
up
it's
to the door
unlocked.
and just turn it.
I'm going to ask, how much luck do each of you have currently? Because I'm going to make this a group luck roll. So,
Oh gosh. Okay.
40.
40.
Ari?
46.
Okay, so could Higgins or McCrashley please give me a luck roll? Because you both got the joint lowest here.
You better do it, McCrashley. My luck is not.
All right.
This is
So-
in-game.
Success.
Dr. Lake had left his office door unlocked.
Oh. Higgins, look outside if someone's coming.
Yes, I've got my back against this door. Hopefully this is the only door they can come back in. Go quickly, my friend.
So I go quickly to the office, see if what's the office like.
You can see there's a desk, there's some papers on it, there's like a wall with like cardboard files on it.
Okay.
There doesn't appear to
Alphabetic.
be any other door leading in. Yes, things are alphabetically filed.
Okay, I'm going to go right to the beginning. So looking for the Bidwell.
There's also on the other side of the room a cabinet with what looks to be like phonograph recordings, like early sort of sound recordings. There's even like a phonograph device on the desk. Very basic, but it does seem to be sound recordings.
All right. Is it big, small, or how big is it?
Like quite big, and there's I think like wax cylinder things would probably still be used
Okay.
at this time. Like they're not very portable.
Okay, so I'm going to look for the file of Bidwell. If I
You
could.
can find it. It's
Okay,
down under B for Bidwell.
Okay, I take it, put it on my coat. Say, oh, interesting. Phonographs. Bidwell. Do I find it as well?
And the phonographs don't appear to have names on them. They just have dates
I pass my head.
indicating various days across sort of the last 5 or so years.
What was the time Bidwell was in the sanitarium?
Isn't it like 6 months ago, Keeper? Don't remember.
Let me just double check. Oop. It was from December till February of this year.
Okay. So I'm going to look for this date. Around this date, how many tapes will they have?
You know what? They're doing a quick rummage. I'm going to spot hidden here. Or a library use, or some kind of...
Spot hidden.
Because
Alright.
you're perhaps under a little bit of a time pressure. These don't seem to be half as well organised as... There they are. In that period, there are 2 recordings.
2 recordings. I will take the 2 recordings and go outside of the office.
All right, as you're stepping back outside the office, Higgins, you feel the pressure of someone on the other side of the door.
He's out. He's
he's
looks
just-
like.
Door
Door shut.
just closed.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I apologies. My apologies. I was leaning on the door and I move out of the way.
Sorry, sir. Dr. Lake told me to ask if you required any tea.
I think we'll pass on the tea. Thank you. Actually, do you have any Earl Grey?
Of course.
Can you make several extra pots because I'll explain later.
Of course. And the nurse gives a nod as though that's not the strangest request she's heard today.
All right, I'm going to push the door back, close, lean on it, and say, what about Belmont's files?
I was just about to say Belfont's files. He was interned 5 years ago.
Okay, let me go to quickly. I go to the B again because I know where it is now.
B.E. Belfont. A much thicker file. Like, Bidwell's file was fairly thick.
Uh-huh.
It had quite a lot of pages. Belfont's file has been expanded out into 2 files.
Oh. Do I have a bag
Like,
or something?
tied together with a bit of string.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to put it in my bag like luggage, like nothing happened, like close it and go out.
Okay. So as this rummaging and file stealing is going on, disreputable people stealing medical records. Franco, you're being led along a corridor up this iron spiral staircase and up to this corridor in the upper room, and you can see there's doors on either side of this corridor are thick, heavy looking doors. Not sort of office doors. They've even got like a sliding hatch at the top and the bottom. And
This place looks more like a prison than like a hospital.
this is a hospital, but for the good of our patients, we must, sometimes ensure their safety and others' safety. We sometimes allow them to walk the gardens with attendants, but it would be dangerous to allow them to roam the facility entirely unmanaged.
I understand. It's giving the place a little bit of a oppressing feel, though. Well,
I painted it green. It's meant to be good for the mind.
oh, I see. Well, you are the specialist. You need to know, right?
Yes. Well, here we are. One moment.
Thank you.
Mr. Belfont, you have a guest.
Hello.
And the big door is swung open to reveal it's not quite a cell, it's a small room, but there's not very much in it other than a bed. And a chair, and it looks to be like a small writing desk that's been bolted to the wall. And turning to you as you enter the room is a young man. Probably only looks to be in his 20s, and he's possibly was quite good looking if it wasn't for what looks to be a large burn scar on one side of his face. It's quite hard to tell. His hair is like, kind of got a stringy look to it, sort of like wispy blonde hair that's sort of slightly plastered down to his face. He looks a little too thin and worn, and he looks up at you as you enter.
Hello. You're Mr. Charles Belfont, right? I'm Franco Bernice. I'm having a couple of questions, if you would be so kind as to answer them.
More questions? Take a seat.
Yes.
Get asking. Doctor, have you got tired of asking your own questions? You've now sent someone else to do it for you.
Oh, I'm not asking questions for the doctor. I'm certain he's just trying his best. I'll look over my shoulder. Is the doctor leaving the room, or is he staying in there with me?
It looks like he intends to stay. And you could. Are you going to requesting him to do otherwise?
Doctor, is it okay if we make the conversation under 4 eyes? Not that I mind you staying here, but it's kind of you see the data is about people that have sadly left us, and I don't want to infringe upon anybody's.
Oh,
No.
I see. Putting his own thing back against him. Make me a persuasion check, please.
I would try to fast talk because it's a fucking lie.
Or fast talk. Or charm. I was
Hard success.
hard success. Yes, fast talk a little hard to read, but all right. But I will be just outside in the corridor. Shout if you need me.
Oh,
And he pushes
I
the
will.
door too.
I will. Don't worry about that.
Don't worry
I will
about
obviously
him.
be very, very nervous.
I don't bite.
I do think so, but these walls and they're making me a bit on edge. You'll understand, right?
I understand. I've been here for years.
I can't possibly imagine. The questions about Mr. Bidwell. He was here for a while. I'm not sure whether you met or not.
Oh, yes.
But
He was across the corridor. The doctor's very organized. He likes this place alphabetical.
oh, obviously, that's
He was quite insane, you know.
quite insane.
Well,
Yes. That's not a very precise descriptor, I guess.
no, I mean,
No,
not everyone in here is insane. I'm not insane.
So why are you here then?
Oh, a group of mad occultists blew up my family. And then everyone thought I was insane when I tried to tell them about it.
Oh, I see. That makes a lot of sense.
Yes, you tried to tell people that a medium and a historian and a group of two men I'd never met before in my life blew up your house. Apparently that makes you insane.
You have to admit it sounds quite crazy. So this Bidwell person, he talked about I was at a seance with him, and he talked about this stone that he had. And I will recapitulate a bit about the stuff and try to seem like I know more than I actually do.
Look, for like the first month or two he was in here, I barely spoke a word of English. He kept making strange noises and thrashing around all over the place, like I don't know what. But it was most disappointing. I'd like to, occasionally you get a neighbour here that you could actually have a conversation with for a change. But no. Talking to Bidwell, I might as well have been, I don't know, talking to the wall, or, a particularly excitable cockroach.
Oh man, that sounds harsh. It's like
At some point when you're in here, you do start talking to the walls and the cockroaches.
So basically this place makes one more insane than you were when you got there?
Oh, if you weren't insane on the way in, you'll be insane on the way out. The good doctor will make sure of that.
Oh, that's cynicism.
Not that I have to worry about getting out at this point.
I will try to be
They've got the police
empathetic.
in their pocket, you know.
They do?
Yes,
Oh, that's worrying.
yes. They're
I
very
was-
dangerous women.
Oh, I was hearing. I'm going to tell you about the hearsay that I've heard about what's happened about some Egyptian artifacts being smuggled around and stuff like that. Is there anything true to that?
Sorry, who are you?
Hmm?
Who are you?
Oh, I'm just like more or less a professional nosy person. I will be scratching my head and be like, try to seem like as unintimidating and unimportant as possible.
Are you a reporter?
Kind of, but not the kind that gets taken too seriously. If you know what I mean.
You're not with the police, are you?
God no. Why would a police? I mean, look at me.
Can I have
wear
another
cheap
fast talk
clothing.
roll of
Yeah.
you after as this is going on?
100%. If you need that to be hard, I will spend the luck necessary
No,
to.
success is enough to keep his suspicions dampened down.
Sure. I'll make fun of the notion that I could possibly be involved with any sort of law
I don't
enforcement.
know anything about any smuggling.
I mean, I know that exists. That people.
Well,
I mean, it's
I know
London.
smuggling
right?
exists. Obviously, I don't know anything specific about any specific smuggling.
I mean, I can just throw around some accusations, and these kind of things tend to stick to people, even if they're true or
Oh
not.
no! Accusations. What would they? They might lock me away.
Right. It's absurd, but
Throw all the accusations you like. What more can they do to me?
I mean, I don't think that they're gonna do anything to us, but if you were to tell me stuff that might incriminate somebody, what is anybody gonna do to you, right?
There's a thought. Alright. If you're looking for smugglers. Now, this was a little before my time. It's quite a few years back. If you're looking for smugglers and artifacts, there's only one name you need to really think about. Davenport.
Davenport. Interesting.
They were the people to go to. Brother and sister.
Brother and sister Davenport. Okay. That's helpful. That's very helpful.
But is that you came all the way this way to ask about Bidwell and smuggling?
Well, Bidwell has been murdered brutally in his home.
Oh!
There's been a lot of stuff. And there's, stuff involved that, the normal police isn't really keen on.
Oh,
And
I see.
I've been, having the big scoop for that, but nobody takes that seriously. But it's too much than a coincidence,
Oh, I know exactly what kind of things you mean. Look, I might be able to help you. I know things. I know people.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
But
But
I might need something in time.
what could you need in here? Except for a way out.
A way out.
I'm not too sure how I can manage that, but
Get me out of here. I can help you. I know things. I have access to things. Money. And knowledge beyond... Well... You see. if you could find a way to get me out of here, I would see that you were very well rewarded.
That is very enticing. So you know about stuff like the stars and Q-Cup. I would just try to get a psychology roll on that one. On his reaction
Make me
to
a
this.
psychology roll, please.
That's a hard one. If I needed it extreme, you get the luck for that.
Oh, I know things. But you get the impression that he didn't really actually recognize what you... Like, there's no, like, flick of recognition when you mention Yikup. It doesn't seem like he actually meant anything to him. Oh, yes. I know. And if you get me out of here, I can tell you. I can tell you everything you need to know about the stars, about your cub, everything. Think on it.
I'll need to, make a plan for that. It's not like I can just,
Alright, sorry, your time is up.
It was a pleasant conversation, and, I hope you have as good a time as possible in these walls.
I'll try.
I'll leave.
And Dr. Lake locks the door behind and leads you back down towards the others. And as you're going, he says, "Quite the fascinating character, isn't he?"
Yeah, he doesn't really seem that insane, apart from, the whole somebody blew up my house.
Oh, assure me, once you get him talking, the depth of his delusions are unfathomable. It's been quite an interesting case study. I've been interviewing him quite a few times over the years. And I believe he truly believes what he says, but it is quite fantastical. Here you are. Why have you got quite so much tea? The gentleman asked for several pots of Earl Grey.
Why would they? Okay. I guess they must be really thirsty.
And here you are. And did the rest of you... So other than stealing the files, was there anything else you wanted to have achieved during that time of the doctor's absence?
I would like for all of us to have possibly looked for a place to drop the files if we have to. A trash bin or someone else's briefcase or a coat pocket, somewhere that we can stick it if we need to get rid of them quick.
Okay, I mean, there is like down the back of the chair, under the table. The window's actually open a crack. You could, even with the bars, you could slot them out and toss them out the window into a bush. Or
yeah, I was kind of thinking that maybe we could plant them on someone else's stuff, but
there doesn't appear to be
not
anyone
necessarily.
else's stuff really there apart from like the doctor's stuff. Like,
okay.
They don't get a lot of through traffic here.
The window one, what does it give?
There's some bushes, some rose bushes underneath it.
And the park, it's an open park of the.
It's like the sanatorium gardens.
Okay. What I want to be sure of when I take the big file of Belfont, what I'm going to do is take all the files and put them in the place. Like this, it's not been. You cannot see that the file is missing. I take a little file. Yeah, I shuffle. I even take some other files and I put them on like this.
You're messing with the alphabetization.
I don't know what you mean. Me? No.
No. But yes, the doctor returns. Right. Well, did you have any other questions other than? drinking all this tea?
If you would entertain more questions about Mr. Bidwell, but apparently that is off the table.
Yes, I'm afraid it is family off.
Very well.
All right.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you for your time then.
Very appreciative of the time. I hope Charles is doing all right. If I remember correctly, he seemed to prefer asphodel flowers. They were some of his favorites.
I will keep that in mind.
Have a
And
nice day to you.
then, ushered out of the sanatorium. Back to your waiting carriage.
We take the carriage as soon as possible.
Yep. Okay, carriage leave soon as possible. Try and hit the train. Try and get heading right back to London as soon as possible, so that we can be away before they.
Yes. How much luck do you have, Franco?
Oh, I do have 59 luck.
Okay. So Higgins, I ask you to write me a luck roll, seeing as that Morgan made it last time.
Okay. If it matters, I would have asked the cabbie to drop us off in a different location so that we could walk to the location. So we'd do it surreptitiously.
Okay. This is more, is he going to notice before you get on a train back to London?
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. So a luck roll.
Yes. Up on the left, across from Sanity. I think, if I'm remembering,
Green one.
Luck. That kind of luck.
There it is.
What is wrong with you?
Are you not pushing the purple button?
I'm pushing the green one. Push the green button, is that correct?
Yeah.
The green
For
button
the
is
benefit of
correct,
anyone,
but dang!
He managed to fumble a luck roll. That's too. I'm sorry, you're cursed. So as you are getting, sort of walking around and getting towards your carriage, you hear a shout behind you from like the main door and see a figure running out, sort of calling out, "Close the gates! Stop them!"
Run!
I will say to the cabbie, since everybody's in it, I'll get out to talk to this man. You go, and go fast. And I'll step out of the carriage and say, "What is it?" as the carriage rumbles away.
Okay. The carriage like rumbles away as like one of like the attendants and Dr. Lake converge on Higgins' position. Where are they? Where are the files? Search him. Bates? And this
Files?
attendant is there like patting you down. Like
I don't understand. Doctor, do you have something against me?
you
Seems that
you're stealing my records. They're not here, sir.
stolen nothing.
You have? You...
Doctor, perhaps you've spent a little too much time with the Belfont boy. He seems quite paranoid from what I've heard.
This is... I know it's you and your companions. I will be making a complaint. I will be getting in touch with the police in London. I have friends up there. You know, I am not without contacts. I am...
Are you missing files?
Yes.
Perhaps they were misfiled.
You will be hearing from... I do not misfile things. You will be hearing from me. My patrons up in London can make your life very unpleasant.
Doctor, I apologize. I'm not sure what you're talking about, but here's my card. If you need any staffing done at your establishment, I can provide wonderful contacts that perhaps could fill roles. It appears that your staff misplaces things.
Get out, and I never want to see you or any of those others here again.
I'm sorry, Doctor. I'm not sure Very well. I walk off down the road.
Clang. As the gates rattle shut behind you, and you hear, "You will be hearing from me."
Suppose I will. Fortunately, my hands are still clean. Now, how do I get back to town? Start walking.
So you start walking down the road back towards Brighton. The rest of you, are you dashing all the way back to Brighton, or are you waiting to pick up Higgins?
We are going to be booking it.
Okay.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave instructions for the cabbie to head back up the way to pick up the associate, and also extra money to make sure that Higgins gets his train ride back home and, all that associated.
Okay. So yeah, the rest of you race for your train to London as Higgins slowly trudging down this road between...
Higgins is going to spend the night in this little town, and he's going to send a wire back to his brother telling him basically none of the real facts, but if inspectors are looking for me, refer them to Inspector Barnes. I've been accused of stealing something. I'm not sure what, but I'm spending the night here in town in case the local constabulary needs to talk to me, and then I'll be back tomorrow.
Okay. Yes, so you arrive down in town, you arrange rooms for the night, and the rest of you are sat in the train compartment, making your way back to London. Now with this stack of files.
And the audio.
Yes, and 2 phonograph recordings.
I'm kind of sad that we had to leave that quickly. I honestly hoped that I could go and take a dip. The London Harbor doesn't really,
It's March.
lend itself to that.
It's March.
Yeah,
Catch
so what?
your death.
It's just a bit cool.
I'm definitely taking a dip.
It is bracing. I mean, it's at least the south coast, so it's as warm as it gets, but...
Yeah, 4 degrees Celsius.
I believe the technical term is...
Hello. It's March in England. Whoa.
The correct technical term for the temperature of the ocean is it's fucking freezing. You feel your limbs start to, go dead, your pale bluish shade you take on.
Well, I figured I was here. I might as well give it a try. I doubt I'll be back anytime soon.
But
that went way better than I thought. Honestly, I'm surprised that the sanatorium is not on fire.
There was not a lot to set fire to. This whole thing is one giant brick.
Lots of files we could have burned.
That's true. So let's recapitulate what I found out. He talked to Bidwell. That much is true, but he didn't seem to get any actual information or actual conversation gone with him. He sent me towards the Davenports, brother and sister Davenports, about the Egyptian artifacts. And when I asked him about stars and Yukub, he was pretending to know a lot, but he didn't actually react to the names and the way I enunciated those. So I think he knows some weird stuff, some really weird stuff. But I don't think it's the same weird stuff that Bidwell knows. If you know what I
get what you're getting at, Franco.
Yeah. And I'm not getting what I'm getting at, but I think you get what I'm getting at, which is kind of odd.
I've run into several occultists now, and they all seem to know a different thing and think it's like the big thing. you understand.
So like physicists and chemists and biologists, everybody has their own big thing.
Yeah, that's kind of a good way of putting it, actually, Franco. But yeah, it's like one person's, a physicist, whatever that is, and the other person's a chemist, and they all think that their thing is more important.
Well,
Except they're willing to sacrifice you and do weird chants and bring about the end of the world because their big thing is more important than anything else.
why would anybody want to bring about the end of the world? Isn't that kind of counterproductive?
That's my thought on this. And the last time someone tried to bring around the end of the world, I stabbed somebody.
Wait, the last time?
Yes, the last time. And she just kind of stares out the window through that.
Okay. I will just keep looking at Lady Irene and like. Okay.
Hey, Lassie, when you're speaking about occult and all this kind, and the end of the world, are you really serious? Have you really experienced all this?
Unfortunately, I am being serious.
I'm not telling you lying or something, but
Yeah.
and you see, I'm still white, and something happened. You see it, but even I don't know what. And my mind is racing like now. And these Davenport guys, yeah, they are part of the occult world. What do you know of them?
The name sounds familiar, Keeper. Have I done any?
You've not had extensive dealings with them. I mean, it could be a coincidence, but yesterday you met a man named Mr. Davenport who runs a bookshop.
Ah. Oh, right. Well, I do know a Davenport. He is making a fake book to give to whoever Yates is. I do believe he has a sister.
Well, we might want to ask a book faker why Mr. Belfont would think him connected to smuggling and would want to put that label onto them. I mean, I kind of suggest that, just accusing people on the in the paper as a leverage point for him talking. So he might not actually be, connected and just, an enemy.
It's very possible that he's trying to shift blame or something like that. They could definitely know something. I know his sister is very into seances and the occult. He also has recently acquired a bookshop owned by a crazy raving mad woman that basically tried to kill all of us.
Okay.
And the Belfonts kept killing her husbands over and over.
Honestly, this seems just to be absurd by now.
Hey, laddie.
London, let's stop. Train terminates here.
Oh, we're there.
Yes, we're here.
Hey, laddie, I think you're going to have some stories to tell after that, no?
Yeah, well, I think so. And Irene probably has as well.
I
Yes.
believe we have a phonograph at the London Esoteric Society.
I think so.
Good
yes.
job, Morgan. There's definitely a kind of clap on the shoulder.
But yes, with your new records acquired, you're back in the city. There's a moderately successful day of information gathering. But you've got some files to do some reading up on. And I think this might be a good point to leave things off for today.